Hello everyone, how are you feeling today? Eldros everyone here coming at you with an update to my Dark Magician deck profile because Blue Eyes get an update lately, so why not giving Dark Magician an update? I thought it would be kind of fair. Also, before we begin, I want to ask you a question. If you hearing weird voices like bouncing back and you hearing me speaking twice, like talking twice, because if I do, then I will find a better place. But I was moved to a big room in like the place that I learn on like right now, and like a big room of two, which I'm alone at, and there's not a whole lot of things to like cover the noise here. So I'm trying my best to like open the room and stuff like that. But I'm hopefully there's not other annoying sound. But yeah, and that's that. As well as I wanted to give you guys a different kind of a video today, which is like working with Sonic Saga, or not Sonic Saga, Sony Vega. I don't know why I'm saying always Sonic Saga, because I'm kind of like played a lot of Sonic games when I was like young, so I kind of mix in the head when I'm hearing Sony Vega. So yeah. And also, I wanted to work with that and props, but I did have a problem that I forgot my software at home because I was really distracted because a good friend of mine got like burned really bad in an accident, and I felt like it's going to be like really terrible thing, that his face is going to be all burned and his whole body, and like will never be able to be looked again. But fortunately, and that's fortunately, even though it's pretty bad, the only place that he got hit, and not that the worst thing, it's just the problem is that it doesn't have a lot of layers of skin, is his around his chest. His legs and hand got hurt a little bit as well, but his face is okay. And he's pretty, like, doctor says that like he got a really big burn like in his chest and like and like his like stomach and chest, but other than that he's pretty okay, and I'm hoping that like in like 2 to 3 months he will be fine, but we'll see about that. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started with deck profile, and hope you guys enjoy it, and thank you guys so much for hearing my little talk about a friend of mine. But without further ado, let's get started. So starting things off, not a whole lot have changed, but I'm still running 3 copies of Dark Magician, because Dark Magician is the ultimate wizard in terms of attack and defense, as well it's your primary playmaker. He's pretty much do everything in the deck. He's the most important monster in the deck, and the deck is built around him, and they actually build a vanilla build this vanilla monster really well into a deck, which is really cool. Next up, you run 2 copies of Magician of Dark Illusion. Actually, I run 2 copies of that. I'm actually thinking of cutting down this card down to 1, because it is a cool card, but I never see it way too much. Like, I don't know why, I never see this card in my opening hand for some stupid reason, but it does what it does pretty well, because on the field, it counts as a Dark Magician card, which if you activate, for example, Eternal Soul or Illusion Magic or Dark Magic Inheritance or whatever during your opponent's turn, you can special summon himself, as well as it's a monster reborn when you activate a spell and trap once while it's on the field. So it's a really good card. Still thinking that I want to run it at 2, but when we get the new Cosmic Brain, which is a card from Cybernetic Horizon, I'm probably going to drop this card down to 1 and then playtest with that card, because I think it's really good for rank 7s, but I'm not 100% sure how good that card will be, so we'll see about that. Next up, I'm running 3 copies of Apprentice Illusion Magician, which again, I've seen the people a lot cutting her down to 2, as well as they cut this card down to 1, which him I get, but her I do not, because this card is really good. First off, it's a Kalut. Second of all, it's a special summoner. And third of all, it's Search Your Dark Magician, which not all the time you see in your opening hand. So why not have the ability to just see your Dark Magician, so making your Magician Navigation live, your Spells and Trap live, everything in your deck is live. Like, I want to see Dark Magician in my opening hand as soon as possible, at least once, and sometimes I don't, and because of that, I'm kind of like stuck with nothing, and most of my Spells and Traps are garbage. to work with. So I think like Apprentice Illusion Magician is pretty important still at 3. I understand people are cutting down to 2 to say that it's a little bit cloggy to open up 2 with her, but I don't agree so much. Like, I really like this card, and I think it's a really useful level 6 monster, which open up also a lot of like Xyz plays for level 6. Not a whole lot I'm running anymore, but like it does give you the option to. Next up, we're running 2 copies of Magician's Rod, 3 copies, sorry, not 2 copies. 3 copies of Magician Rod. It's pretty much your best normal summon. Not even a question about that. It's searching your spells and traps directly to your hand, which is really cool, and it's also have the ability to tribute a spellcaster and revive itself from, not revive, but like recover itself from the graveyard so you can get the normal summon effect again, which is really cool. This card is pretty good, and I like this card of 3, and if you're running less than 3 in a Dark Magician deck, you're doing something wrong. Next up, I cut down a Choco Magician Girl down to 1, which is a card that I actually like a lot, but I felt like I don't have a lot of darks, not dark, but spellcasters in general, and B, I don't really use her for her normal summon effect, but like if I need to, this is one of my normal summons that I want to see. So it's a good card, don't get me wrong, but I felt to myself like I don't want to run 3 of this card, or like even like 3 of this card. I'm kidding, I never run that unless it's Dark Magician Girl build. But 2 felt to me, even in this build, a little bit too much. It's still a really good card, and I like this card at 1 because it saved my ass a lot. But running 2 of this card is just way too much in my opinion. I felt to myself like just 1 is enough. And then the last monster I'm running, which is not the hand trap, which now I'm running hand traps. I'm running 1 spellbook, Magician of Prophecy. You don't need more than 1, you just need it if you don't see your Magician Rod and you don't see your spellbook engine. So this is a cool normal summon if you need that. And that pretty much does it for the 13 monsters, I believe, if I'm counting correctly, that I'm using most of the time. For the rest of the monsters, which is hand traps, there is only 1 hand trap in this deck, which I felt like it's pretty useful. And that is 3 copies of the nice reprinted Gamma, as well as 1 copy of Cypher and Driver. Now, the reason why I'm running Gamma and not any other hand traps, well, you could run any other hand trap, which I will suggest to you guys cards you can take out if you don't want to play with those and just run more hand traps. But I felt like Gamma is the most important hand trap in this deck for one reason. It has the ability to, stop my opponent from activating a monster effect, as well as stopping my opponent to using Ash on my Dark Magical Circle, or my my Inheritance, or Spellbook of Knowledge, or Spellbook of Secrets. It's just really cool, and it's make my opponent giving me 2 monsters on the board, which is really nice, which I can immediately go to a Synchro and then use this card again, or just like, just have them for links. So I found to myself like, this card is really important and really good in this deck because you have a lot of spells and traps that search or just special summon things from the deck, and sometimes you leave your board empty, mostly first turn. So I felt to myself like this card is pretty important. If you want to run Ghost Ogres, Ash Blossoms, or anything else, you're more than welcome, but I don't have the money, and I was really lucky to get 3 Gammas to begin with from few special editions. So that was really cool. That's it for the monsters. That is, I believe, 17 monsters. I'm not 100% sure about this. I think it is 17 monsters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, it's 17 monsters. My apologies. I'm just not in the right mind right now, and you know why. So that's it for the monsters. Now we'll move on for the spells. So first off, for the spells, of course, your Dark Magical Circle, which is the top 3 cards of the deck. Add a spell, Dark Magician, or Dark Magician spell on trap, which listed Dark Magician in its text, and also if you special summon Dark Magician, you basically get to banish a card, which is really cool, but you can only use this effect once per turn. But this card is really important, and because of that, you want to run 3. Next up, Dark Magic Inheritance, really important card as well, and it's a really good card. It's a quick spell because you can just activate it if you need to, and just triggering other monsters' effect, as well as just like baiting your opponent during his turn and just like summoning a Gamma if you need to, or something like that. So it's really cool and really nice to have this card in general. And then also one copy of Illusion Magic, and that the last Dark Magician spell and trap that I'm running. Sorry, spell, not trap. That's the last one that I'm running. I don't think Dark Magic Attack is amazing going first because it did give you absolutely nothing. It's only good in the side going second, but Illusion Magic is actually pretty good and pretty crucial because, like, once again, it can leave you white open to make Gamma effect during your opponent's turn, as well just in general. It has the ability to, what do I call it, give you the 2 Dark Magicians that you need if you don't see them for your, what her name again? Apprentice Illusion Magician by her effect, or just don't see them for your Magician Navigation. So it's a really good card, and I think like running one is pretty much what you need. And that's pretty much it for that. Now we'll move on to the Ace card in my deck. I like this card still, it's 3 a lot. If you want to cut it down, you're more than welcome. I'm still running 3 copies of Eye of Timaeus. If you want to like cut this card down to 2 or even 1 or even cut this card down to completely, you can run cards like Dark Hole, Monster Reborn and things like that. I just doesn't feel like they're necessary because I want to protect my Eternal Soul because it's one of the most strongest cards in the deck. And trust me, when you have a combination of Dark Magician or the Dragon Knight and Eternal Soul, it's pretty much hard to penetrate. Like, your opponent cannot target your spell on trap and target them or destroy them, so that's really cool. And the only ways I can do that is like an Ignister or something like that, and your opponent cannot activate your Dark Magicians are not affected by your opponent as long as Eternal Soul is on the field. So this card can give you Dark Magician the Dragon Knight immediately, and that is crazy, and I felt to myself like running 3 of this card is really, really important. But when we have the new what is his name, the Dragon Fusion monster, or whatever it is, that lets you discard a card and summon the normal monster and whatever. When we have him, I'm probably going to cut this card down to 2 or even 1, but for now, I just feel like 3 of this card is really important. And then, for the draw power, I'm running 2 copies of Spellbook of Secrets, 2 copies of Spellbook of Knowledge, and then I cut down to 1 copy of Pot of Duality, because I felt like running more than 1 duality is way too cloggy and just stopping me to go off at my second turn. Because this deck want to see all his combo pieces first turn and just like sit on them and just disrupt your opponent because it's a control deck, and then the next turn, if it has its right combo pieces, go off and just like bring out Dark Magician the Dragon Knight and start to be a little bit more aggressive. So this is how this deck works, in my opinion, in the playstyle that I use. So I find myself like Pot of Duality, just if I'm seeing it way too much, I want to draw, like, I like to draw a lot, and a lot of people like to do that, and I found myself like more than 1 just like getting cloggy if I see it more than 1 in a game. So I found myself like kind of down to 1, and I only need those draw engine cards. I don't need like something like Desires or Allure of Darkness because it hurt my deck. Absurd Goblin could be a nice option if you feel like you want a 39 deck consistency, but I found myself like this deck have a lot of search power in the form of like Apprentice Illusion Magician, Magician's Rod, Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, and it's also a Dark Magical Circle, Dark Magic Inheritance, and even Illusion Magic. You have a lot of cards that search and add cards from your deck to your hand or something like that, and we haven't even got to the traps that do that. So I found myself like consistency, even though this deck is not the most powerful one, it doesn't have this problem, but it does need some kind of draw power still, in my opinion, and just why not use this draw power because it's pretty good. And then the last spell I'm running is 1 Raigeki instead of Dark Magic Attack. I told you guys, Raigeki is still pretty good. Even if you're going first, I feel like this card is pretty good. If you want to run like another trap, you're more than welcome, but I felt like Raigeki is better than Dark Magic Attack because a lot of decks today don't run a lot of set spells and traps, only Paleos and things like that. So I thought to myself like, I don't want to have this kind of card in my deck, which is Dark Magic Attack, only in my side. And that pretty much does it for the spells. Now we'll move on to the traps. So first of all, free Eternal Soul and free Magician Navigation. Not even a question. You want to run 3 of these cards like at all time, unless you're playing Dark Magician as an engine, but like those 2 cards are so important to your playstyle, especially Magician Navigation, in my opinion, even more than Eternal Soul, because Eternal Soul can be a little bit problematic. So I thought to myself like, Magician Navigation is quite better in my opinion, but you want to play 3 of each of those cards because they're really, really important. One copy of Dark Renewal as well. Like I like to run this card. You can cut it down if you don't like it, and just run like I said, more traps or hand traps. So it's another option. But I like this card a lot because it's so trolly when an opponent summons something. And then the last two traps I'm running is still two copies of Lost Wind. Again, you can cut it down completely and put something else like a Solemn Strike, Warding, or whatever. But I felt to myself like I like this card a lot, and B, I just sometimes a little bit of lazy to just moving tons of cards from sleeves unless I feeling they're necessary. And in my opinion, Lost Wind actually does the job sometimes even better than Solemn Strike. Sounds weird, but it does sometimes the job better than Solemn Strike. So that's pretty much does it for the main deck. Now we'll move on for the extra deck. First of all, you run 2 copies of Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, which is a really cool card. And, you know, it's protecting your spells and traps, and that's really nice. 1 Amulet Dragon, because sometimes you want this card to just, you know, protect you and just give, not protect you, actually, this guy kind of protect you, your spells and traps to protect your entire board. But this card is just really cool to finish the game, like this is what it is for. And then 1 copy of Dark Paladin, because Dark Paladin, believe it or not, is actually a really good spell negator. So I found to myself like 1 copy of Dark Paladin is like doesn't hurt because it can disrupt my opponent if like going first, especially if you're using a dragon decks. And there's a lot of dragon decks in the game. Like there's some dragon decks running around, and that's really cool. Especially when we get some particular decks that this card will come a little bit better because it's also getting their attacks. But I don't find myself with a hand empty most of the time with Dark Magician unless I gone first and I just like have my entire field set up with spells and trap. But even then I have like 1 or 2 cards in my hand, so it's not the end of the world to use this card and just discard cards. So I found to myself like 1 Dark Paladin is just really good. And then the last fusion monster is 1 Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon, because link summon, so why not use this card? Like you can link your Absolute Dragon and just get this card, or even if your Absolute Dragon dies and if you're like not using its effect and you're like just crush into something and it dies, it's really good as well. So you're getting a free negation, which is really nice, and a lot of people use this card as well. And that pretty much does it for the fusions. For the synchros, I only running 1 because I felt like I only need 1, and then 1 copy of Omega to just have it on the board, snipe a card from my opponent's hand, and just like move it away immediately because I don't need it on my field, or just it depending on the situation. Because sometimes I have Gamma twice in my hand, and that can be really fun if my opponent trying to negate my stuff again. And I'm just like, okay, so you screwed, because you gave me not only Omega for the next turn to return, but you also gave me like 2 materials for link monsters. So I found to myself like only 1 Omega is enough. And that pretty much does it for the synchros. For the Xyz, 1 copy of Absolute Obvious, 1 copy of Ebon Illusion Magician. I never go too much to rank 7, but it's still obvious you want to run this card. And then 1 copy of Galaxy Tomahawk, because there's a crazy combo with this card. And that's it for the rank 7s. And then for the rank 6s, which is the only Xyz monster I'm also running, is 1 Utopia Beyond. Now you might ask yourself, why did I cut so much of the Xyz monsters? Well, I'll tell you, because I felt like I never go to my extra deck anyway, and if I'm going to my extra deck, I prefer it to be link monsters because they're a little bit more easier to go into. As well, just in general, I like the combo with Tomahawk, so I don't mind like filling my extra deck if with those cards particularly, so yeah, I don't mind that much. As well, just like Ebon High Magician does absolutely nothing, so I found myself like it's a pretty terrible card, and why not cutting it down? In the future, like I said, when we get Galaxy Queen, the retrain of, not Galaxy Queen, what her name is, the Cosmic Queen, which is Cosmic Brain, maybe I run it again, but I don't believe it. And then 1 copy of Borlo Dragon for our Link Monster, first one, then 1 copy of Clifford Genius, 1 copy of Proxy Dragon, and then 2 copies of Link Spider. Because if my field is entirely open, and not entirely open, entirely full with Galaxy Tomahawk, and I have like 5 tokens, and like, you know, I have this and like 4 tokens, I can make 1 of these, and then make another 1 of these, and another 1 of these here, and just use those 3 cards to bring out Borlo Dragon, instead of just like waste another token that will die in the end. So that could be really cool, and also Clifford Genius kind of got a cool effect, so I thought to myself I would like to use that. And that pretty much does it for the Dark Magician deck profile. A little bit long because I want to talk about some stuff, but hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you enjoyed, and just leave me in a comment down below, like I told you guys, if a sound was a problem. But other than that, hope you guys enjoy. Have a nice day, guys. Remember, creativity is the key in this game, because, like, you see, creativity is really the key in this game, and especially I'm trying to, like, use this motto on this channel, and, like, you know, just enjoy and have a good day. So I'll see you guys in Thursday. I'm not 100% sure about that, but if I will not, well, it's because I didn't have so much time. So I'll see you guys next time in the next video, and hopefully this Thursday, but it might actually be next week. So until then, bye guys.